Hello, my name is Amanda Campbell, and I'm speaking tonight as the Vice President-elect of Fairfax County Special Education PTA, SEPTA. It is refreshing to see the level of transparency demonstrated by the sheer number of virtual town halls and meetings held by the school board and Dr. Brabrand. With that being said, we must acknowledge the disproportionate impact that distance learning has had on the special education community, families and teachers alike, and how that informs our concerns as we move forward with return to school plans for the fall. SEPTA reiterates our statement that FCPS must plan for the impact of compensatory services on the budget. We look forward to seeing the methodology for determining staffing needs required to implement compensatory services addressed at the year-end budget review. We must ensure that we are not overwhelming our current related service providers in this process. Additionally, it is imperative that FCPS clearly communicate to families what the streamlined process will be to access compensatory services. We must emphasize that however this process materializes, it must not place an undue burden on families already stretched to the limits or on teachers who will have a significant backlog of meetings and evaluations to oversee. SEPTA also believes that FCPS must provide maximum flexibility during this time. Without actually experiencing the fall iteration of distance learning, it is unreasonable and unrealistic to expect families to choose by July 10th how their child will access their education for the entire year. Given the systemic failures in providing special education consistently during distance learning, many families lack trust in FCPS that the fall will be any better. If a family chooses virtual learning and finds it to be a disaster for their child once school begins, the flexibility must exist for them to move to in-person learning. Conversely, if a family begins the year with in-person schooling and finds they must move to virtual learning, that flexibility must exist as well. We would be remiss if we did not highlight the importance of ensuring that all virtual learning options, including the medical opt-out, are able to provide a robust support to special education students with a variety of needs. In addition, related services must be provided remotely, as many school districts and private practices have been doing since the lockdowns began. Regarding the medical opt-out option, it must also be available to those families who are sibling not enrolled in FCPS or a parent caregiver is medically fragile, not just when the FCPS student is medically fragile. FCPS should also take into consideration when deciding how to provide the medical opt-out option the fact that, for many students, their only buy-in to distance learning was that they were seeing their classmates and teacher. If FCPS insists on using an outside vendor for the medical opt-out option, you must require that said outside vendor actively work with FCPS case managers and IEP teams to fulfill the individual needs of each student. These are complex situations with no ideal decisions. Thank you for taking into account the needs of some of our most vulnerable students and their families. Thank you.
Thank you. Going on to speaker 109, Gladys